Hey, it's Lee. Welcome to Business Problem Solve. Today, I have the great pleasure of chatting with James Lott. The reason why I think this is a great pleasure is a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with somebody else called Lee. And I think that was the first time on the pod that I'd spoken to somebody else called Lee. And as you know, my business is called Get Knowledge, and this is James Lott from Working Knowledge. So this is the first knowledge-based podcast episode. James Lott, how the devil are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, honestly, an absolute pleasure, absolute pleasure. So, for those people who don't know who James Lott is and what is Working Knowledge, who is James Lott and what is Working Knowledge?
So who is James Lott? That's a big question, but I am MD and founder of Working Knowledge. We founded it 17 years ago, and we specifically exist to help young people in particular get fantastic careers. And we believe the best place for them to really thrive is with entrepreneur-led, scale-up businesses where they can really shine.
Wow. So 17 years, did you say you've been doing it for?
17 years, I can't believe it.
Where were you when you thought that this was a good idea? And how did you develop the idea, the thought to then do what you're doing?
Well, when I think back, my very first job, Lee, was teaching sailing. So I grew up in Kent, on the beach in Kent, and we messed about in boats, and I could sail before I could swim. You know, it's just what people did. And then my parents at age 15 moved me to the middle of the country in the Midlands. And not only was I a fish out of water with a very southern accent in the Midlands, but also I lost my horizon. I couldn't see the sea. What does anyone do around here? So I started teaching sailing as a way of getting out of the Midlands in my holidays and going down to the sea, and just got involved in that. And what I learned, I was learning, first taught at a place called Rockley Point, which is now called Rockley Water Sports. Fantastic organization. And we were teaching everybody from people that are sending their kid, all young people sending, so 6 to 10-year-olds, and parents would send their kids away, and they will be charged to be taught by me, age 16 and above, and a whole bunch of us. Or the council will be sending people. These are kids, and they can't be taught. They can't go to school, so let's send them to the sailing club, and they'll look after them for that week. And I'm just amazed on two things. One is how you can completely transform a young person's life at that age by teaching them something practical and pragmatic that's not in a classroom. Wow, what an amazing thing that was. And the second thing was how the people that I was working for created a business around the passion and innovation and creativity of equally young people. We were just young teens responsible for 40 6 to 10-year-olds in boats on their own in the middle of the sea. And we had to be innovative, we had to be creative, we had to, really share our passion and all that kind of stuff to really get what we want from it. And that really stuck with me. Those two lessons really stuck with me. Started my own business in 2000. First new business was in 2000, actually, my own business. I was lucky enough to sell that one. And then I was looking around to what I was going to do next. And in 2004-05, I met my then business partner, and we created Working Knowledge. And it was all built on this passion of what does talent look like, and how do you get that talent into entrepreneurial businesses in order for those businesses to scale and thrive.
Wow. So I guess the most natural question now is, how do you do that?
The key thing is what talent looks like. I love working with entrepreneurs because they're rule breakers. So a young person who has gone through an educational process that may have suited them or not, often because of accidents of birth, they may not have had a great education experience. The local school was not that good, or not good for them. They might be dyslexic, brilliant thinkers, but not great grades, all that kind of stuff. So what does that talent look like? And we've literally worked with over 30,000 young people. We know what talent actually looks like and how you can use that talent. And most entrepreneurial type people are the same. Just like, I don't need to know what you've done. I don't need to know what your grades are. I don't need to know that you've had an opportunity to go and do Duke of Edinburgh or whatever it is. Or as good as all those things are, I want to know your potential and whether you are open to the idea of learning great stuff, taking on responsibility and floating up as my business floats at the same time. And therefore, that's brilliant working with that kind of environment, those kinds of people, because we can put in front of them, look, this person has talent, and it doesn't look like it on paper. In fact, we'd never share a CV with our entrepreneurs when we're introducing somebody to them. We'll demonstrate to them what their potential is.
Wow. Well, so if you don't share a CV, and you've used the word talent a number of times, what is talent to you, James? And how do young people demonstrate their talents? So
let's think what's the core talent here? So one, for an entrepreneur or any business owner, or any business for that matter, any organization, when they're recruiting, first thing they're thinking is this person in front of me, or is this person on an application or whatever, are they going to make my life harder or easier? It's a very personal thing when you're doing it, and you're not thinking about them and giving them a chance or whatever. It's just like, it's down to us here. And so for a young person demonstrating their potential, then they have gone out of their way in whatever environment that they've grown up in to grab opportunities as they are presented. And lots of that might be doing some work for whatever organization, hospitality, customer service, retail, or whatever, from a young age. They may have done bits, and we often find this is an issue. They've done amazing stuff. We were chatting to somebody the other day, and only in passing did this person mention that, oh, in lockdown, I didn't have much to do, so I built a computer. You did what? Yeah, I built a computer, and then I built a desk out of stuff I picked out of a skip in order to put that computer on, and that kind of stuff. And just like, that's the kind of thing that really actually makes you sound really good as a digital marketer, potential digital marketer, because you're just like, you're problem solving, you're looking at things, you're looking at the world in a different way, you're making ends meet, you're kind of being innovative and creative in that kind of way. So anything that people can do and demonstrate it, but a lot is also around how you then brand yourself, and how that as a young person, you can put yourself in the shoes of the person you want to go and work with and what they're looking for. So teaching them empathy. You talked about there about CVs, and we don't share CVs. What we do is that we will set a candidate, a potential candidate, a challenge to do where they can demonstrate what their potential is. So we focus on digital marketing as our kind of entry point into working with entrepreneurs. And so we would set them a particular challenge, which might be, understand this particular brief from the client, which is to do to focus on Midlands engineering businesses, the owner managers of those businesses, SMEs, 5 to 25 people, let's say. And you want to get them to respond to a specific lead magnet that's been created, so a calculator or something like that. And so you've got to create a 200-word blog, and you've got to do 20 tweets to go alongside that blog. So they have to understand the brief, do a whole load of research, produce something of value, and submit it on time. Those are 4 key characteristics as a potential employer you want to know that they're capable of. Will it be perfect? Of course it won't be perfect. They don't have the domain expertise at all, and they've got lots and lots to learn. But you'll get a really good insight of their potential. And all of this at a young age is about potential. And are they able, therefore, when you then start quizzing them, to take criticism, to want to learn, to self-criticize. Well, I could have done it better in this way. If I was doing it again, I'd do it this way as well. So it's all that kind of attitude towards learning and wanting to get better.
Gotcha. So when we talk about, did you say 30,000 youngsters or 30,000 young people that you had worked with since the start? What do you, of those 30,000, what makes them stand out? Because I guess there's a lot of young people now, and what makes young people stand out? So not how do you help young people stand out, but what makes the young person in themselves stand out, do you see, after working with 30,000 people?
Well, so where we started was that we worked in education. So we would run these events where we'd bring in all of these local business people, and they would meet young people in a entrepreneurial type setting. And we do this less so now, but we were able to access some government funding to do this. And it was like, for want of a better word, it was a dating service, if you like what I mean. It's just like, that's what a young person could look like. That's what the value a young person could bring to you. And how did those people stand out? So first of all, lots of people are reluctant to take on young people because they believe the media type hype that they're all hoodie wearing, knife wielding layabouts and definitely no good for their business. Even though often they've got their own teenagers sitting at home and their teenagers' friends that come in, and they don't feel that they might be that. But there's so much risk around that. And then they go along and they meet those young people, and they found that they were innovative and creative. They wanted to listen and learn. They were really inquisitive. They made them feel good, actually, as the entrepreneur themselves. So like, oh, actually, I know loads more than I thought I did. And actually, I'm presenting it to these young people, and they want to listen to what I've got to say. That, you know, what a great, fulfilling experience that is for me, actually, going through that process. And at the same time, in their questioning, because they're unencumbered by years of experience, and that's narrowing our focus, they're asking the questions that we've forgotten to ask ourselves often within a business setting. And that's why, from a digital marketing perspective, it works so well, because an entrepreneur, most of the entrepreneurs that we work with are similar age, I would suggest, to you and I, Lee. You know, they've had some years experience and they've gone through the mill a few times. And we look at digital marketing and we look at the whole digital platforms and social media and think there's no way we know anything about that. You know, the young people are living and breathing it all the time. We'll let them in to come and do some of that because I'm never going to understand it. Actually, using social media personally is a very different thing to using it for a business, and you know, but they're not afraid to be able to use it, and the entrepreneur is unafraid of allowing a young person to come in and do that. Why we start with digital marketing is, most scale up entrepreneur-led businesses need help setting up in-house digital marketing within their organizations. But also it's hugely quantifiable. So the results are increase in sales. So was that young person any good? Yeah, they were great. Want another one? And do you want them in logistics, business admin, finance, IT, all those other areas where it's harder to demonstrate the value that they might come and bring into the organization?
Yeah. What's the dream for you, James, at Working Knowledge?
What's the dream is that we help, you know, our current thing of the next 5 years, that we want to help another 5,000 young people to launch fantastic careers with wonderful entrepreneur-led businesses, and seeing therefore those businesses thrive as these young people come in and bring their energy with them.
And is it apprenticeships, or is it I guess is it apprenticeships where they start, or is it in full-time careers?
Yeah.
Where is it? How does that transition work from young person to person working with entrepreneur-led business?
So we looked at, we kind of fell into the apprenticeship side, and I'll explain that in a moment, how that kind of happened. But yes, our product, what we are offering entrepreneur-led businesses, is funded via an apprenticeship. So the training and the support and the coaching that we're offering is funded via the apprenticeship. And because we're a training organization, we're able to access and work with government funding and make it really cost effective for the entrepreneur, therefore. But actually, our Digital Marketing Academy is for the whole business. And so we're not letting the entrepreneur off the hook at all here. You know, it's just like, you as the entrepreneur are the person with the best understanding of your customer base, and you know why you set up the organization, and you've got all these wonderful case studies, and you know how to answer all this stuff. The problem is you don't know how to, and don't have the time to broadcast that to the right audience. And so what we do is we come in, we help you recruit if that's necessary, or you might already have somebody, you may have had somebody through a Kickstarter or something like that. You've already got somebody in the organization, and you put them onto the academy, and then they join a group whereby they join a marketing department with a business marketing coach that is supporting them. And then we have these visiting trainers who are experts in like SEO or pay-per-click or lead magnets or email marketing or whatever, that come in and support them through the process. And so, but it's the whole, so they're the doer that's turning the handle and getting this stuff out, but it's for the whole business to set up this rhythm and this ability to get the right marketing out, get the right marketing done, actually.
Gotcha. No, makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. And what you talk very passionately about what you do, who you help, and how you help them. Have you always been, you know, I guess, where's that passion coming from? What is it that gets you excited about it, James?
Like I seem to have an innate desire to see young people thrive. I love it, you know, just like some of the stories, and you know, it's hairs on the back of my neck stand up, you know, it's just like, wow, you know, they're here, and for whatever reason that, you know, life is not necessarily delivering what they thought it was going to for them, or they keep hitting their heads against glass ceilings, and just like, I'm better than this, I can do better than this, I'm just not being given the opportunity. And we're not a charity, so we are never expect, you know, so if people aren't performing, then they should go. This is about business, you know, totally. But it is about people that wouldn't normally get opportunities because of a variety of different reasons, being put into an environment where they truly thrive. And some of that is tough love, you know, we really push people, and sometimes it can go to tears, and sometimes, you know, it's really hard, but you can do this stuff, you can do it, and it's hugely satisfying doing that. And just the whole, you know, I was chatting to one of our clients, just going through the way we do our recruitment process, completely trapped. They're an IT business, they could not find people to do what they wanted to do, and it's a massive problem within IT. And then just from going through the recruitment process that we offered them, they suddenly were just like, well, actually, we can grow our own IT professionals. Let's start creating our own academies to bring people in. And how will we go about that and bring that kind of stuff? And just that whole transformation of the way a business can grow, etc.
Yeah.
And I mentioned, if you don't mind, Lee, I mentioned earlier how we kind of fell into apprenticeships, and we were running these events, and lots of the business owners were coming to me afterwards and saying, James, you're letting me down. I'm just like, I'm letting you down. How are we letting you down? You know, and he said, well, I came along to your event, not expecting much, and you blew me away. No, you didn't blow me away. Those young people blew me away. And I just see the wealth of young talent that we have that constantly gets pushed down in the media. And actually, they were fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But how do I get them into my business? And I don't know how to actually get them into the business now. You've introduced me, you've opened my eyes. but how do I get them in? And at the same time, it was Lord Sainsbury's review on skills. So back in 2016, skills in the UK and preparing us for the next 50 years, which led to the whole change in apprenticeships and the introduction of the apprenticeship levy. And then we suddenly found ourselves sitting in front of huge brands like Marks and Spencer's and Enterprise Rent-A-Car and Mighty Group and others. And we ended up setting up some apprenticeship programs for them, spotting talent that they wouldn't normally do. So they had really effective graduate schemes, but what about people that didn't go to university or dropped out of university or whatever? You know, how can you find different talent? But I'm not a corporate animal. You know, it's not the right place for me to be. We learned a huge amount from that. But then we came back to our roots, which is with entrepreneurs, and just like, okay, so how can we use this fantastic funding that's available to help the ones we love, the entrepreneurs, build their businesses more? And that's how we kind of fell into apprenticeships. Gotcha.
No, makes perfect sense. I guess if we just put working knowledge to one side just for a second, if you were a young person starting again, James, and working knowledge didn't exist, how would you try to stand out in the market as a young person?
I would utilize, there's a few things on this. So number one is get yourself a LinkedIn profile. No question, that is the best way that you can learn and start to have conversations with the kinds of people that you could potentially go and work with. So LinkedIn, absolutely, it should be standard fare within education that young people leave with an effective LinkedIn profile. And knowing, therefore, the difference between LinkedIn and Snapchat or any other social media that you're using. LinkedIn as a professional platform, how do you engage with people? And reaching out with people in the right way, just people want to help. People are on the whole nice and enjoy being asked stuff. And so if you are putting yourself as a young person and then putting yourself out and just like, I want to get into a particular industry, can you help me with my first step? You know, is my LinkedIn profile looking right for people within that industry? If you start having those kinds of conversations, hugely helpful. And I really kind of think, you know, the old school tie is dead as far as I'm concerned. LinkedIn has killed that off. So if you're putting yourself out there and representing yourself in a positive professional type way, whatever your age, you will garner fantastic support from a community, which will lead to opportunities going on.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn is the number one thing that I would do. And then it's around having had those conversations saying, you know, I want to go into industry X. What could I do in order to better my opportunity there? And they might say, well, if you had a job in retail, we really like people from retail into this sector because you get all of that great customer service bit, and you have to prove that, you know, you turn up on time and you work late shifts and all that kind of stuff, and you might rise very quickly into a managerial role and that kind of stuff. So go for retail now and act on that. Go and do those things and make that work and learn from that, you know. And people talk about transferable skills, and they're absolutely there because you don't have much else to offer when you're young. Of course you don't. So go and do something. Could be volunteering as well. That's really important. People forget about that as well. And that could be, well, I'm organizing for the sports team that I play with, all that kind of stuff. And then finally, the big thing for me is have passion in something. It doesn't matter what it is at all. It might be particular series, you know, crime series on Netflix. But if you can talk passionately about why you like watching that in any opportunity, in any social side, then when people see your eyes light up and suddenly you're alive and you're talking, that's what we want to know. There is a spark there for you, and that can be channeled into lots of different ways, but you need to demonstrate that you're passionate about something.
Yeah, love that. LinkedIn, learn, and have passion. Those are the I guess the mental notes of the three things that you've just shared there. No, completely agree, and couldn't agree any more than with those three things. No, amazing, amazing. I guess so you said before that you've got, was it 5,000 in 5 years is the target? What is it beyond that? Where do you see working knowledge being, or James Lott being, in 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 the future?
So I think in terms of working knowledge as a business, then I'm building a business to hand over through an employee ownership trust to my employees for them to take to the next level. So James Lott can take a business to a certain level. I'm not I'm too entrepreneurial. I'm too fast for the next shiny thing and that kind of stuff. And I can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. But I can really see where working knowledge, which is, I guess, where your question is going,
Yeah.
can continue to support the entrepreneurs of this country to find, retain, progress the right talent within their organizations to in turn see their businesses thrive. And I think we've got a really important role to play in that, actually.
Yeah, and then I guess James Lott personally, entrepreneurial spirit, passionate chap. What do you see? What's the dream for you?
What's the dream for me? So yeah, I think what's the dream for me? Travel, definitely. I want to stop doing working knowledge and then go back out. My very first job was connected to overseas development. My wife and I, we worked with refugees and stuff, and like to go back and do that sort of thing again. I have 4 children, and I've got a feeling they might be dotted around the world. My eldest son is in America, and they might be living all over the place. And to have the opportunity to go and travel and that kind of stuff. My dad died 5 years ago, sadly from cancer, but he was working to almost his 80th year with still non-exec, providing fantastic value to businesses, and I can't see myself ever stopping. I just love it, just everything. So, but that whole thing now, as has been taught to us by the pandemic, you can be anywhere and work, and being able to offer people some value from wherever I might be. Not sure what that's going to be yet, Lee, but
Yeah.
some way down the line.
Yeah, no, I love that. So you mentioned then as well, so you've used the word entrepreneur a lot, and that's who you work with. You've referred to yourself as having entrepreneurial spirit and stuff, and have you always been entrepreneurial yourself, and is that why you've gravitated towards the entrepreneurs, or not?
I think I don't think I really had a choice. My dad worked for himself, his dad worked for himself, my brother works for himself, my sister works for herself, just like I have that's just I guess that's what we do. But I'm like and it drives my wife to distraction. I'll constantly be looking at the world and thinking, well, why do they do it that way? And I have scraps of paper and literally backs of envelopes and all this kind of stuff where I just sketch out if I was doing that differently, or I bring it up at our tea table and chat with the kids about what I've spotted this today. How would you do that? We were talking about something last night, just like this would be our Glastonbury Festival stall selling this kind of food, don't you think? And how else would we do that? And we just tied around that idea, and how much would it cost and all that kind of stuff. Do it all the time. I love that. I love that process.
Yeah, I love that as well. So what do you hope that your 4, did you say 4 children?
4 kids.
What do you hope that your 4, or what are the important lessons of James Lott that you hope your 4 children have taken from you?
Nothing comes to life for free. you know, it's you can't sit around waiting for it to happen to you. And I hope with all of the 4 kids, my eldest is 20, and then 3 teenagers, 18, and twins at 14. They all earn money, and they have done for some time. Sometimes they're working for me. Sometimes, you know, they're working for others. So they've learned the value of an hour's work, and that's what you get, and you choose how you spend that money that you've earned. And I think that's a really important thing. I think this might be one of my teenagers coming now.
Yeah, you know, you get right on cue.
I'll come back to you, Poppy.
They were listening at the door to see what you were going to say.
There we go. That's Poppy, my engineer, who's building something for me in the garden while she's not at work because she's got COVID. So she's working in the garden instead. Lost my train of thought now, Lee. What do I have?
Yeah, what lessons do you hope that they've taken from you?
And the thing around actively going out and having conversations with people to help you decide what you don't want to do as much as you do want to do in your career as you go forward. My eldest is in America because he was an academy footballer. He started at Southampton and then Bristol City, and was released in March 2020, right at the point that we went into lockdown and that kind of stuff, and sat around for a few weeks, not, what am I going to do now, and how am I going to forward my career, and did have some opportunities for going to some of the minor clubs in the UK. I said, well, just start talking to people. Well, how will I do that? And just like, well, LinkedIn will be a good place to start. How is that possibly going to help me in a football career? Okay, well, let's look at my LinkedIn profiles and see if I know anybody that is connected to football, and just go, okay, football, keyword football, you know, what comes up? Loads of people, because loads of people are, okay, so let's narrow it down a bit. Actually working for a football club or in senior management. Oh, I know quite a few people that own football clubs. Would they be good for you to talk to, Jago? Just like, yeah, you know, they would be really good to do. Oh, that's interesting, then. And do I know any coaches? You know, just like, oh, I do. Look at that. You know, just by chance, you know, without even working. So if you start communicating with people, within weeks, he was having conversations over Zoom and the likes with people all around the world, interested to talk to somebody about, I've just been released from a British academy system, and I'm wondering what to do next. And that led to an opportunity at a university in America, which you wouldn't have thought about. And within 6-7 weeks, he was on a plane, and he's been there ever since, you know, on a full scholarship to university in America. And yes, awesome. So and then that has then gone on. He's just gone back, actually, and over Christmas, the way the college system works is you then you have an opportunity to play for a professional club every year. And so he's been using LinkedIn to reach out to all the professional clubs, and he's sat talking to owners and head coaches of lots of different professional clubs to go on. You know, it's just like, it's there. And then he's doing that, and that's been demonstrated to my other kids. Just like, well, if you want to get on, this is what you can go and do.
Yeah, I love that as well, because I mean, that completely aligned with the 3 lessons that you shared earlier on for any young person: LinkedIn, learning, and passion. So no, complete synergy. Love it. What are you having for your tea, James?
So I actually did some prep on this, Lee. I'm showing this book. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So it's called Fresh India by Meera Soda, and I absolutely love this book. And there is this in here, right? So they look great, right? So they are Park Street Catty rolls, and they're so easy to do. They're basically a nicer version of a wrap or a burrito or something, like an Indian version of that. And that's what we're doing. They are really good. And the kids love them because there's loads of fresh stuff that go in them. They're a bit different, and they get to roll them up themselves and eat them with their fingers. So they tend to eat it.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. One thing to share with you there, James, is I think we're up to about episode 169 of the podcast, something like that now. And there's been about 110 guests that I've had the absolute pleasure of learning from and chatting to. And you're the first one to show me a recipe book. And every single guest I've asked that question to. So the preparation that you've done for this podcast has been far greater than anybody else's. So thank you so much for that. So if there's anybody out there, entrepreneurial or young person, that wanted to get in contact and to know more about working knowledge, know more about James Lott, where would they go? What would they do? What would they find?
Best place, unsurprisingly, Lee, is LinkedIn. Yeah. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Mention that you've heard this podcast, and happy to connect and answer any questions via there, of course. Or our website, if you want to go and look what working knowledge is all about. And if you are an entrepreneur or a young person looking to launch your career, then that's at workingknowledge.org.uk.
Perfect. I just want to say, James Lott of Working Knowledge, thank you very much from Lee Horton at Get Knowledge. Have an amazing rest of your day, and good luck with everything that you've got going on.
Lee, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thanks for everything that you do. It's fantastic.